Violence erupted in and around Jerusalem's Temple Mount yesterday when thousands of Muslim worshippers sought to forcefully thwart non-Muslim entrance into the ancient compound. Tensions peaked yesterday morning as the day marked both the Jewish fast of Tisha B'Av, during which Jews commemorate the destruction of the second biblical temple, as well as the Muslim festival of the sacrifice, Eid al-Adha, during which Muslims commemorate Abraham's obedience to God's command to sacrifice his son. It is interesting to mention that in contrast to the Bible, and in spite of the fact that the name of Abraham's son is not mentioned in the Quran, Islamic tradition identifies Ishmael and not Isaac as the son who was meant for sacrifice. It is also important to know that while Jewish visitors are allowed to enter the Temple Mount every year on Tisha B'Av, they are barred entry on Eid al-Adha. As both days fell on the same date this year, and in light of a security situation assessment, the Jerusalem District Police Commander Doron Yadid decided, with the backing of the Israeli government, not to allow Jews to visit the Temple Mount. Yadid explained that during the morning prayer procession, there were over 60,000 Muslim worshippers in the compound that houses the Al-Aqsa Mosque, endangering any non-Muslim individuals that would have entered the site. That said, despite the decision to prevent Jewish entry, some 2,000 Muslims gathered after the morning prayers at the entrance of the Mughrabi Gate, which is used to grant non-Muslim visitors access to the ancient compound, and began to chant Islamic slogans of war. Shortly thereafter, the Muslim crowd started hurling stones and other objects at police officers who responded with crowd dispersal means. During the clashes, some 20 Muslim rioters and 4 Israeli policemen reportedly sustained light injuries. After quiet was restored, the Jerusalem District Police Commander decided to allow non-Muslims to visit the Temple Mount under heavy police escort. According to the police spokesperson's unit, 1,729 Jews and 200 tourists entered the ancient compound. Subsequently, the police announced that today, and during the next 3 days of Eid al-Adha holiday until Thursday, the Temple Mount will not be open to non-Muslim visitors. The decision to bar Jewish entry into the Temple Mount, which is the location where both biblical temples once stood, infuriated the religious right coalition partners of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. Israeli Acting Minister of Transportation Bezalel Smotrich of the Union of Right-Wing Parties condemned the decision, saying, quote, "Closing the Temple Mount to Jews on Tisha B'Av is a shame and a disgrace." Minister Smotrich further asserted that the decision to capitulate to Arab terrorism and violence at the holiest site to the Jewish people is the root cause of the loss of Israel's deterrence in other sectors as well. Joining in the condemnation was United Right chairwoman Ayelet Shaked, who quoted in her statement on Twitter an acclaimed Israeli poet and journalist, the late Uri Tzvi Greenberg, who insisted, quote, "Whoever controls the mount controls the land."
אורי צבי גרינברג אמר שהשולט בהר שולט בארץ. אין שום סיבה לא לאפשר ליהודים לעלות להר הבית, ברגע כשהם מזהים חולשה הם מנצלים אותה. אני הבנתי שפתחו את העלייה להר וטוב שכך. המהומות יהיו גם ככה וככה והם יגברו אם הם ידעו שאנחנו נכנעים. צריכים להיות חזקים, נחושים, הם יבינו את זה.
Former Justice Minister Shaked further underscored that when you capitulate to terrorism, terrorism wins. Meanwhile, the Islamist Hamas organization issued a statement in which it threatened Israel with dire consequences to its actions with regard to the events surrounding the Temple Mount, while at the same time it praised the Muslim residents of Jerusalem for their resistance to the Israeli security forces. Alongside Hamas, its primary ally in Gaza, the Iranian-backed Islamic Jihad issued a statement of its own in which it called for an escalation of intifada, the Arabic term for a violent uprising, and general Palestinian resistance, which it described as the only way to respond to what it views as Israel's crimes and aggression.